Welcome back. Edward Snowden's decision to go public on his once secret work for our government put everything he knew at risk. His life in America, his job, and his personal relationships. Hear now more of our conversation. Where do your parents come down on what you did? In the book, we learn a lot more than we knew about them. They were both, we say this in quotes, deep staters. We learned that they both had varying degrees of security clearances in their lives.
Yeah, I come from a federal family. My father worked for the military. My mother works for the courts. My whole line, going back, has worked in the government service. So I think this was difficult for them. And in fact, one of the things that I will be eternally grateful for is the fact that they still stand by me today and believe that I did the right thing.
You paint a portrait of what some of us knew, and that was that you were a thoroughly American kid in your upbringing. You wake up every day in Russia. You go to sleep every night in Russia. Are you actively seeking to get out? Are you, as has been reported, looking for asylum elsewhere?
Well, this is not an actively seeking. This is not a new thing. And this is important history, especially for those people who don't like me, for those people who doubt me, who have heard terrible things about me. It was never my intention to end up in Russia. I was going to Latin America, and my final destination was hopefully going to be Ecuador. I applied for asylum in 27 different countries around the world, traditional U.S. allies, places like France and Germany, places like Norway, that I felt the U.S. government and the American public could be comfortable that was fine for a whistleblower to be in. And yet every time one of these governments got close to opening their doors, the phone would ring. And they're in their foreign ministries. And on the other end of the line would be a very senior American official. It was one of two people, then Secretary of State John Kerry or then Vice President Joe Biden. And they would say, look, we don't care what the law is. We don't care if you can do this or not. We understand that protecting whistleblowers and granting asylum is a matter of human rights, and you could do this if you want to. But if you protect this man, if you let this guy out of Russia, there will be consequences. We're not going to say what they're going to be, but there will be a response. I continue to this day to say, look, if the United States government, if these countries are willing to open the door, that is not a hostile act. That is the act of a friend. If anything, if the United States government is so concerned about Russia, right, shouldn't they be happy for me to leave? And yet we see they're trying so hard to prevent me from leaving. I would ask you, why is that?
I'm guessing Joe Biden is not your candidate for 2020?
Actually, I don't take a position on the 2020 race. Look, it's a difficult position, being in the executive branch. It's a difficult position, being in power, and you have to make unpopular decisions.
What if someone said, help us harden our elections from attack using your skills?
I would volunteer for that instantly. You know, they wouldn't even have to pay me for that. Remember, I volunteered to work for the CIA, for the NSA. When I came forward to reveal mass surveillance, which we need to be clear, the courts have found was in fact unlawful on the part of the government, and one court said likely unconstitutional. So I have no objection to helping the government. I came forward not to burn the NSA down. I came forward to reform it, to help it return to the ideals that we're all supposed to share. So there will never be a question of when my government is ready, when my government wants me to help, I will be there.
Ed Snowden, thank you very much. Good luck with the book.
It's my pleasure, Brian. Thank you for having me.
Edward Snowden, the author of the new book called Permanent Record. It goes on sale tomorrow.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.